Hi, I'm Carroll. I'm a Vice President and Business Initiatives Consultant at Wells Fargo. I've been with the company for about 2 years, and my role at Wells Fargo focuses on employee engagement and sustainability education. Specifically, I get to work with our green teams across the company, which are our networks of environmental stewards who are really passionate about making a difference in their communities, at work, and at home, and taking that sustainable action and helping bring along other employees on a sustainability journey. I got my start in the environment probably back in high school. I had an environmental science teacher who I really enjoyed, who really instilled a passion for the environment in me. And so when I was in college, I majored in environmental policy because I wasn't quite sure exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted it to be related to the environment. During the summers in college, I worked at a summer camp for kids where the kids would come for 3 weeks during the summer, take one class for 7 hours a day. No credit was given, no grades were given. They just came because they loved to learn. And I taught ecology. And I said, man, wouldn't it be great if I could just talk about the environment all the time and teach people about it and really instill kind of this similar passion in them. And so once I graduated college, still wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted that education, outreach, and awareness to be a part of my career. So I went straight into grad school at North Carolina State University and got my master's in science education, really focusing on informal education. And during that time, I started working as a contractor for the United States Environmental Protection Agency, which is a federal agency. And I really started out there as a research assistant, using some of my policy background on an energy model that modeled the US energy system and could tell you if you wanted to reduce your carbon emissions by the year 2050, what sort of technologies, what sort of fuel is going to get you to that goal. And while I was there, I networked and I met another woman at the agency who did environmental education and outreach for the agency and went into schools and community groups to talk about the environment. And I ended up securing a contract with her as well for 2 years to do similar work. And while I was there, I networked a lot with people at the agency and ended up applying for and getting a job in DC at our headquarters office in environmental education and outreach. So I became a federal employee, stayed with the agency for another 7 years in DC, and I moved jobs a little bit around there, but I was always around this theme of education and outreach and awareness. I worked with our public engagement group, I worked with our environmental education group, I worked with our program offices, really educating the public about the work that the agency does. One of the most defining moments of my career was back in 2014. I was working with a nonprofit organization called Protect Our Winters, and they are focused on raising awareness about the impacts of climate change on the winter sports community. And we were invited to bring the EPA administrator at the time, Gina McCarthy, out to the Winter X Games in Aspen, Colorado. And she met with business owners, the community, nonprofits, athletes, everyone. And all we really heard there was that climate change affects this community, it affects this industry. Without snow, there are no winter sports. And what I saw there was the power of big businesses like REI, like Burton Snowboards, and others really coming together around an issue that was important to them, which was climate change. And I really saw the power these big businesses had to affect change. And I said, you know what, that's what I want to do. I want to work in corporate sustainability. I want to be a part of that change. And I had the right educational background for that. I had a degree in policy, I had a science education background, I'd worked in communications and public engagement, but I wanted to have that business acumen. So I decided to go back to school and got my MBA, my Master's in Business Administration, focused on sustainability. So I went to school full-time and I worked full-time for about 18 months until I finished my degree in 2017. And then it was a matter of finding the right opportunity for me. And a big thing that was important to me was being able to move back to my home state of North Carolina from DC. And so when the Wells Fargo job came up, it was posted on a number of job boards, on Twitter, and I, cold applied for it and got the job, which was really exciting. So I was able to move back to North Carolina, where I'm from, And I really enjoy the work that I do. I really enjoy the people that I get to work with. And I was really attracted to Wells Fargo's platform around the just transition to a low carbon economy. So I still got to work on climate change, and I got to work at a bank. It was challenging, definitely at the beginning, because I came from a government background and I was now in the corporate world, more specifically in financial services, which was a big difference for me. But I really took the time to talk to my colleagues, to talk to coworkers, to talk to people from across the company, to hear their perspectives, to get their input, so that I could do my work well. And so one of the things that I've learned is that collaboration is key. You can't do work in a silo. You have to work across different backgrounds. You have to work across different career experiences and listen to that input and bring it all together. So my advice for you is to really find that thing that you're passionate about, and see what you can make a career out of it. I always knew that education, outreach, and awareness was going to be a part of my career. I just didn't always know how. So you can take those leaps into careers that maybe, or into jobs that maybe you're a little scared that you may not do well at first, but be open to those learning experiences, ask for help. And so the skills that I think that students need, students like you, are those communication skills. You're definitely going to want to be able to collaborate. Listening is always going to be a good a skill to have. And then, beyond that, you don't necessarily have to be a scientist to work in sustainability. You don't necessarily have to be data-driven to work in sustainability. There's careers that can fit your particular skill sets, your particular passions within this field. So I look forward to hearing from you all, hearing your questions, and answering some of those, and I look forward to the discussion.